Hey, Miguel Arati back here on the CRP, and that's Snake Eyes, and that means that we're ready to talk professional wrestling. And what's on display for today is talking about AEW's booked matches for TNT and the pay-per-view. They've got the schedule's pretty much set already. Starting October 2nd, they're going to be doing a weekly live show on television. A lot of the matches have been announced. Well, not a lot, but several of the matches have been announced for TV and pay-per-view, and they've gotten ahead of themselves and things. And so I just want to go through what they've announced officially with my man Snakey here and see how they're doing. What's up? What do you think so far?
They got quite a list going. I mean, I got my notes today, and it's almost a full page of booked matches already. So we're gonna deep dive into AEW's booking here.
Well, on October 2nd, they're going to lead off on TV, and we've got three matches booked for this show. The first one is the match between Kenny and the Young Bucks against Chris Jericho and a tag team to be announced, and we've assumed that this is going to be Santana and Ortiz. There's also the Riho versus Nyla Rose title match, and there's also Sammy Guevara taking on Cody Rhodes. So a pretty stacked first show with a lot of their high name level guys and gals. What are your thoughts on these three?
Well, and according to all Elite Wrestling's website, John Moxley will also be making an appearance at this show. So you already got, 6-man match. You got a pretty good singles match with Sammy and Cody, and then you got the female championship match. That's a pretty good hour of TV right there. So I'm actually excited to see what hasn't been booked yet. Like, will they have MJF on the very first show to try to get that heel heat? Is Sean Spears going to interfere in the Cody Sammy match? Because, later on down the line, we do have Cody and Spears, I believe, booked somewhere as well. So it's going to be kind of an interesting first episode of TV, I think.
Yep, I think they've got Sean Spears booked against John Moxley on October 9th, if I'm not mistaken. So it's coming up the following week. Moxley making an appearance. Now, I got to tell you, this is all up in the air, I think, because, we're going to see how much old school pro wrestling these guys do. And, the card subject to change is always going to be in effect 20th century, 21st century, it doesn't matter. Bottom line is Moxley with that MRSA and the surgery and stuff like that, they're cutting it thin here, getting him ready in 4 to 5 weeks. Maybe he'll be ready, and he's motivated to be ready and things like that. But there's the possibility that the surgery and the recovery don't go perfect, and they might not be ready. So we will see if we get that. But if we get that, interesting matchup for Spears. In a company where they're saying wins are going to count, Spears is in a tough situation.
Yeah, I mean, if Cody said on, I think it was the Road to AEW on TNT. If he loses to Sammy G, he probably shouldn't get the title opportunity at Full Gear. So that kind of does put the Full Gear pay-per-view in question. So we'll see how old school they do. Maybe something happens and Cody doesn't win. I mean, there's a lot of questions on the table for that first episode.
Yeah, and I mean now the Sean Spears and Moxley match will be the second episode. So right at the beginning of TV already, we're going to need some questions answered along these lines. And that really still also, doesn't pull in some of their other high profile guys like Pat coming off a win and stuff like that. How do you see the Young Bucks and the Private Party match going? I mean, that's going to be a high flyer, but obviously – we're going to see the Young Bucks move on in the tournament, don't you think? I mean, Omega is going to be probably the only one of the frontline guys that isn't going to get a belt, it looks like. I mean, at this point, some of them are going to have to sacrifice. Cody's got his shot. How do you see that fight?
Well, and I don't know how much you follow Being the Elite, but on their latest episode, they basically had a Young Bucks training montage saying that, for the last 10 years they've been on top, and then all of a sudden a tag team comes along that's a little more flashier and a little more high flyer and daredevilish than you are, and then you have to question if you're in the world. So they're putting a lot of promotion already behind this. I mean, we're about a month out right now, and they're already filming vignettes featuring the Young Bucks training. So I'm excited to see where Being the Elite goes next week if Private Party has a montage as well. But
Yep, and
as far as who's gonna win, honestly, a part of me wants the Bucks to win, but to pass that torch, you got to go with Private Party if you want to establish the younger talent that's going to be around in the next 5 to 10 years.
so yeah, definitely some interesting stuff there. What else has been announced already? The pay-per-view has announced Cody versus Jericho for the belt. Now, Cody has stated things like, if he loses to Sammy on the first week of TV, he won't get the belt shot, and the subject to change, has come up there. But how do you see Cody versus Jericho? Is it too early to get Cody the belt? Because I see, looking at the history, and I think that they are, deeply into the history. I think it's one of the wrongs of the old school history is that Dusty Rhodes didn't spend more time as a world champion, that he was always, selling to Ric Flair one way or another. And then, Flair now is revered as a 16-time champion, and Dusty had like 3 reigns with the NWA belt, right? So I think it's one of those things that they're looking to, maybe have a Rhodes definitely be, especially Cody being, in his prime, he could lead the company, right? So if he held the belt for a bit, but is it the right time? That's the question.
No, I think it's way too early for a Cody title shot. I think they should have built it up, let him get a couple of more wins under his belt, and really built it up that, he's the one guy that wants this the most. Because to be frank, single matches, Cody's had the best matches so far of all the AEW shows. Every single match he's been in has been probably my favorite match on the card that was non-gimmick. Cody versus Spears was excellent, and then we had Cody and Darby Allin. That was a great match. It's just I'm believing in Cody, but it's way too soon for a title opportunity. They should have really milked it out until maybe at Jericho's Rock and Ranger thing that they're doing January of next year. That would have been a perfect opportunity for Cody to be like, all right, well, we're not in the USA, we're in the Bahamas, and I'm gonna use my undefeated streak right now to challenge you on your ship, on your cruise ship. It'd be a big surprise, and I think that would have been a bigger match between Cody and Jericho.
Yeah, we'll see if we get to the pay-per-view with that match, as I stated. But it's interesting. Now let's talk about the women's title match here. Riho and Nyla Rose. There's arguments to be made for both girls. Which way do you see this one going?
I personally would want Riho to go over, but I think they're going to get more mainstream attention if they have Nyla Rose go over, just because of being a transgender woman. In professional wrestling, I think she would be the first transgender to hold a major promotion championship, and that would be the feel-good moment for the company, I guess you could say. I see this as the David versus Goliath match. Nyla's going to get a couple of big shots in. Rio's going to have to rely on her speed and quickness. She's going to get caught a couple of times, but my gut feeling says they're going to go with Nyla Rose.
Okay, that's very interesting. Now, let's wrap up with some Kenny Omega talk. He's coming off the Pac loss. His promos have been eclectic. They've been a little bit weird, and people have been talking. Is he? Is there a heel turn coming? Is he okay? What's your take on this? Because wins count. He's at the bottom of the barrel.
If wins and losses really do matter, he really is at the bottom of the barrel right now. And if Omega is the first person out of all the elite to turn heel, I would actually fully support that. Kenny Omega was the one of the leaders of the Bullet Club in New Japan when they were heels, and he cuts way better promos as a serious heel, I think, than a humble babyface. He does kind of do the weird thing with his voice and all that stuff, but when he's a serious Kenny Omega, he is the Terminator. He is the cleaner. He says what he means and means what he says. So I would fully support a Kenny Omega heel turn.
It's going to be interesting stuff to see. Yeah, the TV is actually 3 weeks away. So on TNT, October 2nd, we're going to get a chance to see the first episode of AEW. Have you been keeping up with NXT? What's NXT been building up, on the side here to go up against them? good stuff or just your average NXT? I saw that they had some turmoil and that Vince may be trying to get involved in some of the creative on that end as ratings dropped a little bit.
Well, we only knew it was going to be a matter of time before Vince has to have his finger on NXT. And if being on USA have his finger on the pulse, I kind of believe that more people are going to DVR the NXT show and watch AEW and then watch the NXT on replay. I just it seems like NXT to me has lost a lot of steam, but there is a rumor that Kevin Owens is going back to NXT. That was part of the whole getting fired on SmackDown last night. So it'll be interesting to see if that happens. I think if Kevin Owens joins the NXT ranks, maybe Sami Zayn joins the NXT ranks, throw a couple of guys from the main roster on there just to have that main event level appeal. And I think NXT could rival AEW, but in my opinion, it's all about just enjoying wrestling. Who cares if you watch both? You don't have to fully support one and hate the other one. You just watch wrestling. That's what it's all about, right? Being something that we love to watch.
Yeah, and in the 21st century, you get that opportunity with, as you said, the recording devices and streaming and things. You get to see. You do literally get a chance to see it all. But so we will see what AEW has to offer here. They are, like I said, 3 weeks away from the television show. We've been reviewing the lineup they have. They have some other announcements made with appearances and things, but no opponents. So as opponents get announced, I'll be calling on Snake Eyes to analyze the fights. Any final words?
I am ready for NXT to be on. I am ready for AEW to be on, and I am ready to go full bore and just start reporting.
All right, brother. Then we will check in here shortly as news develops. Thank you very much from the CRP.